This is not an isolated event. It's not just the Air Force. It's across the Department of Defense. Some of it has to do with the fact that under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, some of the offenses don't bear the same name as it would appear in civilian courts, for example. I'm told that his conviction for assault, actually domestic violence and child abuse, just was reflected as an assault, which wouldn't necessarily, standing alone, disqualify him. But if it had been called what it was, if there had been a marriage or a matchup of the civilian criminal background check system and the Uniform Code of Military Justice, he would have clearly been disqualified, and perhaps there might have been a different outcome.
And what kind of penalty will government agencies, including the military, face if they don't do that?
Well, that remains to be determined. Obviously, we're just introducing the legislation, but there needs to be accountability. This is not just another thing that we want them to do if they can get around to it. I think what this demonstrates is what happens when people don't do the little things that perhaps they have big consequences, and certainly that happened here. And I'm determined to do everything I can, working with my colleagues, to try to make policy that will prevent something like this from happening again.
Representative, you were in the church. Can you describe the feeling? When you look around, what do you see?
Well, I mentioned a moment ago that what's so amazing to see Pastor Pomeroy comforting other people when he and his wife lost their 14-year-old daughter. But obviously these are people of great faith. So this community pulling together, you can see the outpouring of support from not only this area or our state, but literally the nation. And there are people all over the world praying for these people and praying for their comfort, their strength, and also praying that they can see that there's hope for the future.
One last question.
Pardon me?
On a personal level, what did it mean for you to be there today?
Well, it wasn't so much about me. It was me trying to demonstrate that my support for them and demonstrate that we're there to help. I know at times like this, maybe the easiest thing to do would be to stay away, but that would be the wrong thing to do. Sometimes all you need to do is show up and pray together and put your arm around people and show them that you love them and you care about them. So that to me was the most important thing about being here today.
Can I throw out one more question? One thing that we saw here at this shooting was that the gunman had at least 15 expended 30-round magazines. Those are very similar, almost identical to many of the magazines that Nidal Hassan used at Fort Hood. And he had a weapon that is typically used in a war zone. Do those magazines and that weapon really have a place in civil society? Should people really be allowed to own those weapons?
Well, thank goodness Stephen Williford had an AR-15, and he prevented other people from being killed that day. He is, I'm told, an NRA certified firearms instructor who heard the shots and got his semi-automatic weapon out of his gun safe and ran barefooted here to try to see if he could save lives, and in fact wounded the shooter on apparently two times. And then he and another Good Samaritan got in a pickup truck and chased them 11 miles until the shooter took his own life. So I think the answer to me is this: we need law-abiding citizens to be able to defend themselves and their communities, but clearly we need to keep weapons out of the hands of people who are mentally ill, convicted felons, people guilty of domestic abuse, which is where the NICS background check system, the FBI background check system failed here, and which we need to fix. Thank you all very much.